to the,
Got nothing.
no, okay. I guess we have a new member that is not here tonight, but
I still don't remember that guy.
Yeah, well, we'll remember him, I think, when I see, I think I remember him.
Was he a teacher?
I'm not sure.
I think he's an engineer.
Engineer?
According to Scott, he's been confirmed as, he's been
Yep.
appointed.
Yep, he's been
So,
appointed.
yeah, he was supposed
That's
to be here
good.
tonight, but his daughter had a concert, I think is what he said, so.
So where are we for personnel?
Well, we're up to 6. And then you said you've already interviewed somebody else to make it 7, I guess, right? So,
Yep, he's going before the board this meeting. So going into the new year, we'll have two new board members.
okay, so we still need 2 more, and then if you leave at some
We
point.
haven't heard when we get a place, so
Okay,
do we have to reapply or are we through next year?
That is a good.
think we're-
well,
Through next.
what's on, no, that didn't have it on the sheet there, right? I think it's through the end of 25.
I think so too.
Yeah. Yep, so,
The girl came in, Jack, and she wants us to make sure we speak right into the mic, so they might want
so
to.
they can hear us, yeah. All right, so as far as I know, there's no public input. There's no public here, and Michelle didn't say anything about public input. So this could be a very quick meeting.
All right.
I guess approval of last month's minutes. I don't know, did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes from last month? Oops, that was the agenda, the minutes. Well, could I have a motion?
I move with it, we accept them as printed.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I guess I have to write down. Okay, and I don't know of any correspondence, because again, nothing from Michelle on that.
We used to always get these little folders from the DEC that listed, things like hikes and other educational things they were doing. Do you remember that, Jack? That little pamphlet that, it was like green.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting to me. I don't know why we don't get that anymore.
Well, I'm still waiting.
There was always one item for correspondence.
Yeah, I don't get it at home either.
Yeah,
And
I
I
don't
used
know if
to.
they're still doing that.
So
But
that
it was nice. They'd have like night walks, owl walks.
Is it like the Conservationist Journal or something from the
Yeah.
DEC?
Well, there's a magazine that's
Yeah.
conservation. That's a statewide
But this was
thing.
Yeah, I
just
get
a little
that.
folder
Yeah.
that we should ask Michelle about that.
Well, I'm still waiting to hear back from the regional director out there about somebody coming out and giving us some information and maybe doing a public presentation on the new wetlands regulations.
Yeah.
That could change a lot of
Yeah.
construction activity and things like that in Rondequoit. So
Yeah.
when I hear from him on that, maybe I'll ask him if they've got pamphlets and
Yeah.
things to send out. So it was about different activities that were going on in the area
Yeah.
or in the whole state.
Well, and stuff that they initiated too. We just got one copy of it, so we just kind of passed that around. It was during the meeting. It was kind of hard to read it, but
Oh, okay,
it still was. I don't know. It was good.
yeah. All right, well, let me see what I can find out about that. I
All
mean,
right.
I worked at the DEC for 33 years, but I don't
Sure.
remember anything like that. But I was on the other side of things too. I was on the pollution side of things.
Yeah.
Wetlands and forestry and all that stuff, so maybe I just didn't know about it. All right, and I guess the other new business, like I said, we've got another person that's going before the board this month to be appointed, Patrick Leva, is that right?
I think it's Levy.
Levy? Oh,
That might be a typo.
okay. So he's not related to Devin Levy, the goalie for the Amherst, huh?
That didn't come up in conversation.
Okay,
Yeah, Levy.
okay. Levi or Y?
EAVY.
Oh. All right.
There was one project that she had in the email. Did she say anything to you about that? Topper Drive?
No, I saw it in the, in the memo she sent.
Yeah.
Is that something that involves us?
I can't see that it does.
Yeah,
That's right behind the Jackrabbit there, the RG&E substation.
okay,
I think they're revamping that, but
okay.
I can't imagine that that's in a woodlot or a steep slope.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like it's any new construction or anything, it's a renewal of something.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
so we'll have to circle back if we need to say anything about that.
okay.
Yeah, I don't think anything's changed with that in years.
Okay, so she said December planning board meetings, that's all she has on the resolution. So,
Okay,
nothing that concerns us.
all right. Oh, yeah, here it's down on the, oh, it's her notes on the agenda anyway. Okay, so any other new business or anything that anybody wants to mention that wasn't in anything here? So I guess, if anybody knows anybody who still wants to join, we've still got room.
I was talking to a woman on Facebook, because I had mentioned it, and she asked a lot of questions. I thought she was interested, but I haven't heard anything more back.
Yeah, somebody came either last meeting or the meeting before, who said they might be interested too.
Yeah.
And then she never came
Yeah,
back.
nothing new there.
Yeah, and I had actually spoken to somebody at the county's recycling advisory committee who said she might be interested. She never
With
got.
their agenda, it appears like it's a real easy job.
I guess so. Well, so I guess, if the new business is, if anybody's got, anybody who wants to come, have them just come and sit through a meeting and they can see, like you said, it's a very easy job, so.
Yeah.
All right, Tree Town USA,
The application's been submitted. Gary Copeland is reviewing it for us, so he'll pass that along to the national director, and that should be, I think, January we'll get recognition for that, and an additional growth award for 2024. Wrapped up planting for the year. I think we ended up getting just about 340 trees in the ground this year.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a successful season. That's about it. We're just focusing on transitioning to pruning like oak trees and elms and stuff that you really don't want to touch in the summer because of disease problems. So we're going to be gearing up and trimming those this winter and training the young trees that we got in the ground and hopefully not plowing too much snow.
Of the new trees, how many species did you guys get this year?
Ooh,
Different ones?
a lot.
A lot?
Yeah, I'd say over 20.
Wow.
Some really unique stuff. Rubber trees, Persian ironwood.
That's native?
No.
Uh,
Macchia. A bunch of really random stuff, plus your usual red maples and oaks and stuff that people want.
Yeah, it's good to have variety.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to diversify things.
When you plant oak trees, do you plant more white than red, or?
Not necessarily.
Because deer in particular prefer white oaks. I think a lot of wildlife does.
Yeah.
It's not as bitter a nut as the red oaks.
Yeah.
I know deer will eat the red ones, but only after the white ones are.
Swamp white oaks do better transplanting as opposed to straight white oaks. They're still in the white oak family,
Yeah,
but they just do better transplanting because they have a more fibrous root system. So we've been planting more of those than just straight white oaks.
sure.
It's difficult with the big tap roots to transplant bigger trees because they lose so much of their roots, and
Yeah.
if people don't water them and take care of them, they don't last.
How high do those get? The swamps.
Depends on growing conditions, but they'll get 80 feet.
Oh, really?
They'll get,
Oh,
they'll
wow.
get big, yeah.
Wow.
Your idea about getting some kids to plant acorns,
Yep.
my friend who already has done that with his own kids, they had 70% germination, and of the ones they planted, they only lost 2 out of, I think he said 20. So that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that's really good. I got some American chestnuts from the American Chestnut Foundation to try and
Oh, yeah?
start my own little rehabilitation farm or whatever and plant them around town. I think I got 24 nuts and all but 2 germinated and
Oh, that's
made
real
it through
good.
the summer.
Wow.
Yep. See how long they live.
Nut trees are interesting. I told you that the 2 black walnuts in the cemetery,
Yeah.
the nuts are totally different shaped, and the one tree gave very good nuts, the other one were all dried out or empty.
Huh.
And they're growing side by side.
That's interesting.
Yeah, my experience with black walnuts is when I lived in Honeoye Falls and I planted my garden, and all of a sudden some of the tomato plants would just start dying. One here, one there, one
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It turns out it was because they must have been in the root zone of the 80-foot black walnuts we had in our backyard.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in Irondequoit, some people say that there's not that many deer. Of course, we know better. But I hike all the time, and I tried to get in that program too, that where you were mapping off a section of your yard for indicator native plant species and counting, young trees, and there's none. I mean, you walk in the forest, there's no trees, no young trees being. So I don't know what's going to happen if in the long term, because if you walk in the I walk a lot through different Durand Park areas, not near the lake necessarily, but over by me, and you just don't see any young trees, seedlings.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? But you do see a lot of old trees that have matured and grown old and die. It's like, yes,
Those made it.
I'm getting along in years. It's not going to affect me, but
Yeah.
I wonder. Well, I wonder what Irondequoit's going to look like. If we don't have seedlings replacing the. Because that was never the case. Historically, the deer weren't that prevalent here. They weren't a big issue.
Surprised they're still hungry after eating all our hostas.
Yes.
All right. Farmers market. There was something talked about the last meeting that Michelle was gonna talk to you, Scott, and figure out something as far as creating materials about educating people on e-pods.
Yep. I think we should wait on that until we figure out if we're gonna change E-Pods,
Yeah, that's probably true.
rather than get it out twice. I brought some woodlot E-Pod stuff to talk about. We could do that later. But, yeah, I would hate to go through all that work and create a pamphlet and then have to change it.
Yeah. So are we talking about, going through each e-pod and changing them here, or recommending changes in this group, or?
Yeah,
how
I
do
th- I think because it's an environmental code that this group should be the one that puts that forward.
Okay. Yeah, I have to admit, I don't know a whole lot about, I guess I'll have to study up a little more.
Yeah,
I went through and printed out those sections of
yeah.
the code today and was looking at some of it, but
Are you talking about remapping or
no, I
redes-
think.
Not so much remapping, just
updating the
updating the language.
the language?
Yeah. If you want to talk about it now, we can. I brought the woodlot stuff,
Yeah.
which I wanted to get your opinion
Sure, let's
before
do
we
that.
actually started writing this, because I don't want to write it and then change it and whatever.
Yeah, okay.
So I think the woodlot's a good spot to start, because steep slope is pretty self-explanatory. I mean,
Sure.
slopes are slopes.
Yeah, the only question is whether you have a transition zone or not.
Yep. And same with
Stream
streams
corridors,
and
same.
wetlands, and that's all DEC regulated, so there's not much that we're changing there. But woodlot and treed lot are kind of subjective as far as there is no oversight from different organizations. Like, if something happens and we reach out to the DEC, they're like, well, your code supersedes anything that we say, so we can't really help you out. So, I guess I'll just go through what the woodlot E-Pod is, pretty much, and then kind of go over what I thought would be a good change, and then see what you guys think. So the first paragraph is the purpose. I mean, the purpose is obviously to protect trees and woodlots, right? But the language that we currently have, it says that this code is there to regulate or control development in those areas. Which, there's other things that can be done in a woodlot to destroy it without developing it. So, poor pruning, a lot of people that live on top of the bay or in the side of the bay, they either want to top the trees or trim them way up so they can see underneath them, and it just destroys the woodlot. So by just regulating development, you're not regulating those poor practices, because it's considered regular maintenance of those trees. So I kind of thought that if we put in there, regulate activities and control development in those areas, that we could kind of put different, I don't know, I guess if you could somehow come up with a way to write a permit that you would need for tree work as well as development. I don't know, it's hard to differentiate the two, regular maintenance and development. Because if it doesn't go to a planning board and they're not getting a permit, it's just kind of,
Just happens.
right, it just happens.
Yeah.
So I think if we wrote the code to include, like, So I guess the regulated activities in our code right now say that the only regulated activities are the clearing of or constructing on any land area within the district. So the clearing of or constructing on any land area. Therefore, like I talked about, those poor practices of cutting trees and doing things that aren't considered clearing land or constructing on wouldn't require a permit, and they could just destroy the woodlot. So, do we want to say something like, regulated activities would be the cutting of trees in any way, pruning, trimming, topping, thinning, removing, and then also like excavating, filling, constructing on any land within the district? Because another one is filling. Is filling considered clearing of land or development?
Well, maybe,
It's kind of a gray area.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so if you're altering it.
Yeah. But I don't know how that holds up in code if they do that type of work. So it's,
Maybe in the introduction, we should have something about the maintenance of the thing, or word it such that the integrity of the woodlot is maintained. I don't know quite how you'd write that,
yeah.
Could, if
but
you're
the idea being that you don't, that it would preclude dramatic pruning, either topping or clearing out from the bottom.
Yep.
And then, under the regulated activities, you could put the stuff that would make sure that that continues to happen.
Yep.
should it include, for instance, pruning of trees of a certain caliber?
Yep. We could definitely do that.
Because
That's-
it might, if it's going to be that restrictive, where any pruning they have to apply for approval, or
Well, only in woodlots though,
Yeah.
but we may
Create-
have to, modify some of the exemptions right up in the front of the regulation too,
Yeah.
right? Because right now it says it's exempt for tree and shrub care and maintenance and
Yep.
removal of dead vegetation, deteriorating vegetation, whatever that is,
Anyone can construe that what they're doing is in line with that.
right?
yeah.
Scott, do we know whether or not the tree people who are listed with the town, who have applied and all of that and are approved by us, that they know what they're doing? Do we ask them whether they want to keep in line with our regulations, or they just sign up?
They sign up and they have to have proof of insurance, and there is language in there that says they have to abide by arboricultural specifications and practices and stuff like that, but nobody holds them to it. We can't check up on their work, so
You can't.
we can, but
You can, but you can't.
yeah, trespass and follow trucks around, it's a slippery slope.
Are they permitted?
Tree contractors in Arundecoit have to be.
Yeah. So maybe they could be given, some guidelines by what they can.
Yeah, they should definitely be getting some literature saying, hey, if you're doing any work in woodlots,
Now,
stop.
if you write those approved activities correctly, that'd be all they need to know.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I
would
think
be
we
a
should,
valuable thing.
yeah, we should proceed along those lines, I think.
A lot of the calls that I get are when a chainsaw starts on Bayview Hill or Seneca Hill or something like that. It's
Yeah.
the people on the bottom saying, hey, they're cutting trees on the top. And they shouldn't be. It's a wood lot. And I go there and, hey, guys, what are you doing? Oh, we're just trimming. And, oh, you are, huh?
Yeah, about 10 years ago, remember that? They dropped about,
Yeah, and that was interesting
of
because the
huge
person who was doing that was Bracolo, and they're supposedly pretty eco-friendly, but they tore the heck out of that hill.
that's town property, isn't it?
No, it was that Italian guy who owned property next to Newport. What was his name? Forget.
Yeah. Yeah, they dropped some huge, they dropped some 90,
Yeah, that was
right
a
around
shame.
90, 100-foot trees. A dozen at least.
So it sounds like you've already written quite a few, or at least have ideas on how you should write
Yeah,
some
definitely.
of this.
I've looked at other towns and kind of mimicked what they do and then came up with my own ideas.
Okay.
The boundaries is another thing. The way that our woodlot is, it's very old and methodical, and it gets into defining woodlots by species and size and going there and taking samples. And other towns are like, hey, wooded lots
Trees
of
there,
a
it's a
couple
wood-
acres or more. It's a woodlot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that we should do something like that, but the other thing is the size of it, because we got woodlots and tree lots. So woodlot is 5.
That's pretty many for our town.
Yeah. And then tree lots is 1. So I just propose that all woodlots are 1 or more acre of woodlots, tree communities.
Yeah.
And as long as they're identified on our EPOD maps, that suffice. You don't have
Sure.
to get into, it's got to have these species and this many in a 10-factor prism measured
Right.
with a glass. Like, nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
So that's what the other towns are doing, and it just makes sense.
Okay.
Um,
So, I mean, do you want to take a shot at some of this and then maybe
Sure,
email it to all of us? And
Yeah.
and we can all comment and.
Yeah.
definitely.
and
You're
give
the
you-
expert.
Yeah, that 5-acre thing ought to go away. That's
Yeah.
way too big.
Yeah, I think so. And then the other big question I had was, what do we want to shoot for penalties and offenses?
Probably can't get away with the death penalty.
Because a lot of these people that are building properties on like Seneca Road, they're $1 million properties. So if you hit them with a misdemeanor of $500 to clear the woodlot, they don't care. They're just going to do what they want and give you the $500.
Yeah, cut down more. That's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
What about $1,000 per tree? Over 6-inch
So-
caliper.
That's, you can actually value trees. There's a way of valuing them through this book. And basically there's a formula where you take the size of the tree, the species, there's a formula that you type it in, and that tree is worth this much. An oak this big around is worth 10 grand. So you can hit them with whatever value of trees you damage, that's what you owe.
Wow.
Or a percentage of what you owe plus reforestation. You cut down 10 trees, you got to plant minimum 10 trees. Something like that. That way, even if they do go through and cut them down because they want to build that property, you cut down 20 trees, you got to put 20 trees back on that lot with your house. Doesn't mean that they can go in, clear it, do what they want, pay the fine, and now they're got a blank space to do what
Unless
they
they
want.
apply to do so and it's approved, right?
Yes.
Well, if there is a formula for determining the value of a given tree, you could demand that whatever they cut be that dollar amount, total dollar amount, be what they spend to put the new trees in place, and they have to do it. Yeah, that,
Or they can just include the cost of the new trees as part of their fine. You know,
Yeah,
if
because
we're
you
fining them $10,000 and they want to put in $1,000 worth of trees, well, they still owe 9,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they get hit with a penalty one way or the other, and
so what kind of number are you talking about, Scott, for a really nice big tree? Is it thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars,
Thousands,
thousands?
yeah. An average size Norway maple is like $5,000.
Is that right?
Yeah.
do other towns actually collect those kind of fines from people?
No, not on the East Coast. On the West Coast, yes. California, Oregon, Seattle, progressive places like that do.
So are other towns in this area similar to Arundecoit then, as far as how they penalize people on these things?
Yeah, more or less.
Regulations may be more
Yep.
detailed. You're saying the penalties is
Yeah.
not something that people have come to terms with, it sounds like.
Yep.
Well, we could set an example for the rest of the
Set the
county.
bar. Yep.
So are there currently any penalties?
I think the way it's written is that it's a misdemeanor.
Oh,
So it's an up to a $500 fine.
okay. Gotcha.
Just for however many you clear, it doesn't matter, or,
Doesn't matter.
so you can clear like 100 trees.
So the
or one
violation
tree
is
and
just
you
clearing trees. It's not clearing that tree, that.
Right.
So it's not
So
10
we're-
misdemeanors if you got 10 trees, it's just one misdemeanor.
And definitely write in there that each tree is a separate offense, something like that.
Yeah.
Or even if we wanted to stay with the misdemeanor of each tree worth up to $500, we could just write that every tree is a separate offense, so every tree is its own violation.
Yeah, that would at least provide some,
Yeah.
detriment to.
I don't know if this would ever come to fruition to get these numbers back, because you'd have to go to court and then have a lawyer uphold it and all that.
Because in the end, if you took a lot like those two lots, well, the one lot in specific on Seneca Road, you're talking mucho money, and these guys would rebel against that. So you have to have the town willing to enforce
There you
the
go.
idea.
Yep.
Sure.
What that guy did on the one lot on Seneca Road, we could have fined him $1,000 a day, and for over a year that he was out of compliance. Well, he never was in compliance, really. And the town did nothing. He didn't get fined a nickel. The town has to have the will to enforce what makes sense on these things, and they just haven't been doing that.
Yeah.
You think the new supervisor is more prone to go after these guys?
He definitely seems like he's interested in this type of stuff. I mean, he came to a couple meetings.
You know, maybe a good idea would be to get, have a joint meeting between representatives of the planning board, the town board, the town supervisor, and the town attorney, and us, you
Certainly.
know, because,
At least concerning the penalties.
yes, and,
Yeah.
and, you know, I think, sounds to me like, you know, if a tree's worth $10,000 and, you know, are you gonna be able to get $100,000 if they cut 10 down?
Right.
But you could have, you could have fines that were, where people would think more about it. Like, a number of trees they took down, certain fines for certain size trees, maybe.
Yeah.
And then but it's something I think, you know, we can talk about it, and we're in favor of fining people because we want them to stop doing it, but if we don't have the support of the planning board and the town board and if we're not advised legally by the town attorney, I think we're just blowing smoke.
Yeah.
So why don't we work toward that? We could invite them to a meeting or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I
There'd
hate
be
to
a special
assign,
meeting or-
you things, Scott.
I'll do
But I
it.
mean, as far as, I think it's important to develop the wording of the regulations like you were talking about initially.
Yeah,
And then maybe come up with some proposals that we could talk about at the next meeting as far as,
Yeah.
the penalties go.
yeah,
And then following the next meeting, maybe then we say, well, these are
We
the
have a
penalties we
draft
think
and-
make sense, but
yeah.
we need to,
Are you
Get
gonna
some
still
support for
keep a
that.
distinction between a wood lot and a wooded lot?
I just say,
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea to,
yeah, just do it all as one.
right.
Another penalty that places out west are doing are enforcing, like, I forget how they word it, it's like drip line in perpetuity or something. So like the drip line of the tree where the branches extend.
Right.
If you cut down that tree, you don't lose that developable area. So like if somebody takes down a giant tree in the middle of the lot, they still can't build under that drip line where that tree used to be.
Is that
Okay.
right? That seems a little restrictive.
Yeah.
well, then it
If it was done
Without
properly.
permit.
gives them
Right,
no
if it was done
incentive.
If you
properly.
want to do it,
Agree
you
on that.
come in, and if it's logical, there's a lot of mature trees there, why not?
Or demand mitigation of
Yeah, sure,
sort.
sure, it's not hard and fast, but without it, you just get wanting,
And
destruction of woodlots.
in some lots, like the Quicklies that they're building on Culver there, the building that's going behind that, the trees that they took out, if we put in like reforestation measures, like for every tree you take out of the woodlot, you gotta plant one, they would meet that. Cause they're planting how many trees in that
Over 100.
big property? Yeah. They're not taking out that many, so it would be easy for them to do, but the places on the bay and stuff like that they're kind of shoving these houses where they don't belong, it's gonna be real difficult for them to take down the trees and put them back as required and still have building space. But we're not losing that canopy cover per se because they are replacing what they take out. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ideas.
Well, does it make sense? I mean, is until January 8th enough time for you to come up with a draft of things? Okay.
Sure.
And, if you get pieces of it done, I mean, maybe you could send it out to all of us so we can
Yeah.
comment, or if anybody's got other comments that we haven't thought of here, and we want to send it to Scott, can do that. And then,
Yeah,
like said,
I
after the next meeting, we'll talk about what the semi-finished product.
Yeah.
And then get into more detail on the penalties before we go to
right.
try to schedule with the powers that be.
Yeah, because if we don't, they won't take us serious if we just write something up.
Right.
If we don't meet with them and say, we want to put some teeth into this, it's, like Jack
But
said,
like you
that guy
said,
there.
we want to sell it once we got what we think is good.
Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, the town board basically has to approve any changes to the
Yeah. It has to go
code
resolution.
anyway, so,
Yeah.
at some
we want
point,
to-
we've got to convince them.
We want the planning board on our side as well.
So I guess the big question is, do we want to just regulate development, or do we want to try and regulate poor practices too?
Sure.
I
But
think the poor practices is a really
Yeah,
good idea, because
absolutely.
like you said, I mean, that's as damaging or maybe more damaging sometimes than
Yeah.
just the development.
Because a lot of people that I go and talk to, they're like, hey, I'm not developing, I'm not building anything, you can't be here and tell me what to do. Like,
Yeah.
it's up to interpretation of what you think the code says, and it's kind of
Yeah.
toes
so-
both lines.
So if it
Well-
could be more definitive, that would really
Yeah.
help that argument then, the
And
next
I
time you
don't-
get it.
I don't want to stop people from pruning trees and woodlots. I just want to stop them from destroying trees and woodlots.
Sure. You know, above me on Rainbow, the house that's up above me at the very end of Rainbow,
Yeah.
they have a pool complex, and the son-in-law is a tree guy, and I mean, the amount of trees that have been taken out of there without permit, and, you know, it's just like, some cases they were, you know, diseased trees. I'm not going up there and, you know, it's my neighbor and going up and starting a fire over it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's, and there's tons of trees around there. It's right near the park, you know. Or if it was, you know, but, and it's flat, and the property is, you know, it's developed, it's not an erosion issue or anything like that. It's all on flat land at the top of the hill, so. But, it's amazing, you know, and, over on Center Entrance, Don, what's his name?
Oh, starts with a P.
He cut down a massive amount of trees behind his, and I think it might even have been in the Commons, and just left them to fall there.
Oh, yeah.
He was the head of Huntington Hills too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like they're still like, you know, sitting there. It's like, you know, wildlife has a hard time, I'm sure, getting around through there.
Thanks.
But
Well, those areas, it makes sense to really be tough with what you do, but there's a countervailing influence that we need more houses, and so that's going to mitigate against measures like this. So you have to be careful how you drive. When you said that the drip line has to be maintained, you can't build within the drip line. Say you got an acre of thing and you got a gigantic tree there, it might be impossible to locate a house without getting into the tree line. So there has to be a process whereby you can be permitted to get in there. Otherwise, that's clearly a taking where you can't.
Yeah, well, that's probably not the sort of thing we could put in our regulations, at least at this
Yeah,
point, right? I mean,
that
out
was a
west, they have
penalty.
a lot more land.
That was only for trees illegally removed.
Oh,
So if it went to the planning board like it should,
then,
and they
then
allow
there
them to
was
take
a
down
permit
that tree.
process
Yeah.
available. Okay,
that was only if trees were taken down illegally.
yeah,
You don't
okay.
get to do what you want under that tree like you thought you should.
yeah,
In which case, it wouldn't be better to ask forgiveness instead of.
right.
It's like the tree's still there.
Yeah.
Like the,
Exactly.
Well,
the
it's
ghost
a,
of the tree.
Okay, well then, we'll look for that
Yeah, those
between
are
now
great
and the next
ideas,
meeting.
right.
And yeah, those
Yeah,
are great
thanks a
ideas,
lot,
Scott.
Scott.
Thanks for
Yeah.
all you've done already. And thank you for all you're doing.
But I agree with Stevie, at some stage, when we got a product that we think is decent, we need to sell it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sounds
But
good.
But I think we're gonna need at least one more meeting before we get a chance to
Sure.
review
Oh, yeah,
some
absolutely.
stuff and see,
Maybe more than that.
and then talk about how to schedule that. And
It's
then
town
Michelle will
board
be
you
here
have to
hopefully, and she can
influence.
help us schedule it easier. She deals with all those people. Okay. So then as far as the farm market goes, I mean, is there anything else anybody wanted to do at the farmers markets in the wintertime? Until
I
a couple
haven't
meetings ago, I
gone,
didn't even know they were going on. Okay. Well, if anybody thinks of anything, and I think you're right, Scott, that maybe we should look at least, I mean, this seems like the most complicated E-Pod that needs to be revised. And
Yeah.
and I don't know if we need to revise the rest of them a lot.
I don't think so. We could definitely go through them all. I think it'll be easier just to change that chapter of the code and leave the rest the same.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if there's stuff that we want to do, but just be a lot cleaner.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll think about that first and then take it from there, I guess.
Yeah, the wetlands, for instance, are very aggressively protected by the DEC and the Corps of Engineers.
Yeah.
Right, and we'll find out how much more of that they're gonna be protecting, hopefully sometime in the near future.
Yeah.
If Tim Walsh ever gets back to me again. Okay, Facebook updates.
We've got 934 likes and 964 follows. I have pinned the, if you're interested in joining the board, posts to the top, so that's the first thing that people will see when they go to it. Other than that, are we thinking about doing the Christmas tree pickup again? Because I can
Oh,
start
yeah.
to talk about that, just to get it in people's minds, but if not, we can table that for the next meeting, because I know we don't do it till like January.
Yeah, but the next meeting's not till
Yeah.
January 8th, so,
Yeah.
so maybe
Table it.
maybe you should put something on then, just to say, you know, we're probably going to be doing this
Yeah.
again. So, but it may not be till
Yeah.
later than we did in the past.
I can't remember what the date is on that. When do they usually do that? The grinding.
pickup? Oh, I don't know.
I got
We
the,
usually do it like, isn't it the first Saturday in January we do it, Jack?
I got the flyer with my kids sent home, and I can't think of
But,
the date.
but they do the grinding at the park there, right? What is it?
Pine Grove?
Pine Grove, yeah, we,
That's usually where we drop them off, but if
Yeah.
they've already done whatever they're gonna do, it's,
they won't have done it before the first, Saturday.
yeah, but our
St-
next meeting is January 8th.
They stop accepting trees January 14th, so
Okay,
probably do it like early January.
Yeah, we could do it,
You think you can get your trailer again?
it's been good so far. So, he's been great about that.
That's a convenient way to do it, because
Oh,
you can get
it's-
a lot in there.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way.
last year Kristen had a truck, a pickup truck that we used, and
Do you remember what date was it the first or second weekend we did that?
Let me see right now. We did it last year. We dropped them off on January 11th.
So it's
And then they
second
took them
Saturday.
until the 13th, so we did it like right before the cutoff.
okay. well,
That's probably
Yeah,
a better idea than the first. People still
yeah,
got holiday on the mind for
So
a
if-
bit.
So if the 8th is.
right, that's, yeah.
I mean,
it's
some people
Wednesday,
put them out the
then
day
9,
after
10.
Christmas, but
Right.
most don't.
So the 11th would be Saturday.
Okay, all right, let's figure it for that.
So then we'll be able to talk about
We
it
could
at the
still,
next
if it,
meeting. We
Yeah,
could
so-
talk about it at the next meeting then, if we're doing it the 11th.
yeah,
People can start planning that, though. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not sure, I've got a 2008 Taurus, but I'm not sure how many trees I could fit.
I have a landscape trailer I can tote around, so.
Okay,
can we do that? I thought we had an insurance issue.
No, I have a personal
Oh.
one. I won't bring the town one.
all right. So then
Why
we've got-
not?
so then
That's
we've got at
crazy.
least two,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it'll be good.
The thing about the one that I get, it's the guy's snowmobile trailer, and I always wonder, like, is he giving up using, because there's so little snow, and when you finally get a chance to go snowmobile, and some
Oh, yeah.
Jamork's got your snowmobile trailer, so he has permission ahead of time, but he's been really great. I always,
we can bring them a couple extra Christmas trees if you want.
yeah. Well, I always get him a 30-pack of Jennies. You can chip in if you want.
Yeah, you should.
Right, yeah.
I'll chip in drinking it.
Yeah, didn't we all chip in one year?
I don't know. I don't think so, but that's all right.
I th-
You might have given me some money one time.
Well,
It's only like $20 or something. It's no big deal. I don't mind.
Yeah, if we all threw in a 10,
All right.
Yeah, if y'all throw in the 10, I can pack the
especially
rest.
if we get the board completely manned.
I know, you're right.
If we're gonna throw in a 10, we'll give better beer than that.
I was gonna say we're cheap.
All right, well then, start thinking about that, but we'll plan on tentatively doing it on January 11th then.
Sounds good.
What about, do we do anything like that for pumpkins? I see a lot of pumpkins at the road.
We haven't.
Yeah.
No, we haven't.
I know Impact Earth
That's a
has
good point.
sent out something about pumpkins, but
They accepted them.
Should throw them in the woods because the deer love them.
Yeah,
then they'd stop eating the trees.
Eat the
That'd be
pumpkins
easy.
off my front steps.
yeah.
Have they?
Our neighbor too.
The squirrels don't. The squirrels will eat.
The squirrels, yeah, squirrels got mine. I mean, I just threw mine
yeah?
in my garden and I like kind of broke them up and buried them in my garden.
There you go.
But I see a lot at the road, just going to landfills.
Yeah, if you break them up, they
Yeah.
compost reasonably well.
Yeah. Nothing left at my house when I throw them over. They throw them out in the night and the next day they're gone.
Maybe we do like a smash your pumpkin event.
Yeah.
Well, it may be late for this year, but
Yeah,
but next year
next
we
year,
can
yeah.
definitely think about that. That does, it sounds
Yeah, it's a good idea.
cool. All right. The film series, like I said, I'm still waiting for the regional director of DEC to, because he was the one who had offered to have somebody come out and talk about the new wetlands regulations, but then I haven't been able to get a firm answer from him on anything yet. The last he said was he's working on it, he hasn't forgotten, he'll let me know when he gets something arranged, so hopefully he can do that early in the year. The Deer Management Program Board, I haven't been called for anything, so I guess I'm not,
No news is good
no
news.
news is good news. I
Yeah.
guess.
Hunt going.
I talked to Joe today, Joe Kuhn, Lieutenant Kuhn, and he told me we have 68, I think it was 68 deer that have been taken so far. I know of one that was taken today, I don't know if that's in, but he's hoping to get, hoping to get 80 by next, I think the program stops next Friday. So,
That's less than last year.
yeah, but it seems to have dropped. And the most I think I've ever seen was like maybe 110 or 105 or something like that. But it has kind of leveled off to around 80.
Think that's because of less hunting going on, or?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. I think the population may have leveled off a little.
That's the
bit.
idea.
Yes.
Being successful.
Yeah. So, I've had a few people say to me, well, they've never counted the deer in Arundecoit, and how do we know we have too many deer? And so I was up at the DPW back there, and I saw all the roadkill that was up there. I took a picture of it.
One of them's from my work truck a couple weeks ago.
Hit your work truck? Were you driving it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right here in front of 7-Eleven, heading home.
Wow. Yeah.
Throttled a buck.
That's just, that was you. Yeah, I heard about that. That's
Yeah,
that thing was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah, I saw it over there. They've been, they have been, so I took a picture of it anyway, so the next time a certain individual says that to me, I'm gonna say, I have a picture, do you wanna see? Because they're, and wasn't somebody killed on a little west of here about a month ago? Somebody was killed in a car where the deer
Really?
came in through the windshield. So it does happen, But,
Yep.
there, I was sitting there today and a coyote came right down from Rainbow Trail, right
Oh,
right over the hill. It looked like a Australian Shepherd. You know, it had all the different colors on it. It was actually kind of beautiful.
Thanks.
They're
so are the roadkill statistics similar this year as they been? I seem to have noticed fewer.
I don't think they're fewer.
No?
I have no idea.
You
good
know,
question.
that's something I could probably get. I could probably get that.
Yeah.
But when I was over there was 10 or 12 that were relatively recent. And they're also, the thing that they're doing too is they're, we're worried about chronic wasting and other diseases here. So the program, not only does the bow program here donate venison to sometimes, because the hunters are encouraged to take does even if they have enough venison already for themselves, but because there's a venison donation program, so I think they've already given away a couple 100 pounds this year, but they're sending the heads to to Albany, I think. The DEC collects them from them, but they're,
Testing them.
I had one that I took that they clipped it, and they're trying to keep a handle on making sure that, if something like that hits here at Arundecoit, with the the amount of deer that are here,
Spread fast.
I've been hunting down near Cummings Nature Center, which is prime deer country. There's a lot of acorns. I've gone down there 4 times this year. I've seen 3 deer, I think.
Really?
But when we got the first snowfall last weekend, I think if I had been there Friday, because it was trampled with tracks, and then the next day we go down and we're walking. We'd walk around. My buddy walked about 5 miles all the way across the mountain and then down to East Lake Road and never saw a deer.
Huh.
And they're giving all these extra permits, but it's weird. They kind of herd up, not because of the typical thing of yarding up because of deep snow and stuff like that. I think they do it as a protective measure. Deer seem to me to be evolving, in that they know if they're together, there's more eyes and ears. Usually, like if you still hunt for a couple miles, you might not see anything, and all of a sudden, you'll see a little fawn jump on. They're the ones that get restless. They're not necessarily napping, and they'll pick you off, and then you'll see a whole, sometimes you'll see 30 of them take off, and you haven't seen one. They've gotten more. Deer seem to have gotten more nocturnal too. It's strange. It's just what I noticed, but from
All the light pollution.
well, if it's like the opening day was a full moon, so if it's a full moon, they feed all night long and then they nap, and all around the full moon too. It's what happens,
You guys think that the bucks taste different than the does? My
No.
neighbor swears they do,
Which neighbor's that?
over by the barn.
Oh yeah, I don't think so.
They hunt does all the time. They pass up bucks.
Yeah.
Because they think does taste better.
They
They hunt for meat.
Yeah,
they don't
sure.
have money.
Sure. The older mature deer can I don't think they taste so different as they're not maybe not as tender, but I don't find.
You never.
But
notice
the difference that I find in it's been years since, I haven't hunted any land that's got, agriculture around subsidizing their food supply. But those deer do tend to taste milder, and I think it's more.
What
I think it's
they're
more their diet as
Huh.
opposed to, and diet and their age. But I don't think the sex of the deer has.
This family has 5 kids, and
Yeah.
they're all old enough to hunt now.
Wow.
And one of them insisted on trying to get this buck that's been behind the barn, a pretty good-sized one. And the dad finally said, "Shoot the does, we are gonna eat them instead." So he's serious about it.
Yeah, well, I'll come over and dispatch it for him.
All right, well, moving on.
And eat the horns, my
E-
dad said.
EMC, does,
So I have been very busy. I've not been to any of the meetings.
okay.
They've only had 3 so far this year, and I am going to step down from that position just because I'm juggling a lot. I've got a couple of jobs going on, so I was gonna raise it to the board, and potentially our new members that aren't here, I'll also raise it to them when they're here.
I could take
Would you
it
like
on,
to?
yeah.
It's the 3rd Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
If you're available, I think it's even earlier in the day. It's like 5 p.m.
Might be 4.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
I think it's
crap.
4.
Yeah, that's why I'm like.
Oh, man, that would be hard. I'm still at the office
E-
at 4.
Yeah, me too. So
Jeez.
let's see exactly. But I'll raise it to the other members. I don't want to say it's like dire, but it's definitely helpful knowing what's going on in Monroe County.
Yeah, I'd like to go. but
Yeah.
it might be tough. It's always at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I
Or
think.
5:30. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But I'll raise it to the others.
It might be tough for me to get to.
It's only once a month, you can tell your employer. It's just
Actually,
once
can-
a month.
yeah,
can always
maybe
vote our
my
new
boss-
member
I
at-
wonder
at-
if my boss would let
All in
me.
favor?
You want to ask, and then next meeting,
Okay.
either have a yes or no or whatever, and we can go.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for volunteering.
All right, Recycling Advisory Committee, I'm a member of that. At the last meeting, it's always the Thursday, but it's always like next Thursday, so it's like a week and a day after this meeting. So the last one, there was somebody from from a Recycling Markets Committee was speaking, and she was making the point that they always get a lot of people doubting that recycling is effective. And they've got statistics that basically show that 85% of what you put in the recycling bin gets recycled, including the plastic and the glass.
Is that right?
That's
Everything.
reassuring.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they say, the plastic that's not accepted obviously isn't going to get recycled, but 85% of what goes into recycling bins, and this pretty much holds all across the country. The
I'm
people
surprised
in Monroe
because-
County were saying the same thing.
The rules are so stringent that, I
Yeah.
know they say when in doubt, throw it out.
Right.
But you look at this thing and it looks like it's pure polyethylene. You ought to be able to use it for something. And you're tempted to throw it in there.
Yeah.
But another interesting thing, Danny Wegman has a sign up by the soda machines and stuff there. These items are recyclable, and they specifically say they don't want cups at the. So, has he got his own recycling going on or what?
I don't know.
I don't either.
And
I should ask.
And as a matter of fact, I think the next Recycling Advisory Committee meeting is next Thursday at one of the Wegmans.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So I'll ask. What are you putting these signs up for? Because, the plastic cups are definitely not recycled or not recyclable as far as the county
Yeah,
programs go.
and you wonder, early on, they were taking everything and commingling it for things that it didn't matter. They weren't going to put soda bottles together again, but they were using them for strips that you could use as nailers in concrete applications. how many of them can you use, I guess, but
Yeah, I mean, there's specialty businesses that
They've
can
gotten
use just
much-
about everything. But I mean, as far as the recycling centers go, you know, the municipal recycling
I think 85%
facilities.
is a miracle.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, that was incredible. And the guy from the city was there talking, and he said that pretty much holds for them. The county people were saying, yep, that's pretty accurate as far as we're concerned too, so.
You know, I'll work at
It was
people's
impressive.
houses and I'll notice they're not recycling or, you know, and it comes up, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll say, if you're not gonna recycle the cardboard from the boxes, I'll take it home, you know, stuff like that.
Sure.
And they say, oh, like almost everybody says, well, hardly any of it gets recycled anyway. And I said, no, that's not true. Now I've got
Yeah, now you
a
got a
percentage that I can, that's great information.
Yeah. And
That could be something that could go out on Facebook. I
Yeah.
think that's
And the plastics are the hardest thing to recycle, and they're the ones that cause the most confusion
Yeah.
because certain things.
That's the confusing
Yeah,
part.
I mean, Monroe County basically tells you to go recycle by shape on the plastics rather than the material itself.
really,
Yeah.
what's the,
Yeah, they didn't,
I thought it was the code on it.
No, the
the
codes
code,
are
it doesn't work with the code. Some code numbers, if they're the wrong shape, you just can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, the county sends out stuff like this, and it's basically all that kind of plastic is recyclable. You know, it's all containers, basically.
Well, what about like food containers that you get? You know,
I mean,
get
like for
like
lettuce
from a
and stuff?
restaurant and stuff, like the clear ones with the black caps.
No,
They don't recycle that.
no. And the stuff like you buy salads in and stuff like that at Wegmans.
So the
that
plastic
stuff is-
says bottles, beverage, soap, squeeze and spray, jugs, milk, detergent, jars, tubs for like dairy products, reattach caps and lids and spray pumps.
Yeah, do you know why they want the caps back on soda bottles? I couldn't figure out why that's a good
I
thing.
don't know.
But it's right on the
Yeah,
bottle cap.
I know, they tell you to just keep it on, so I don't know.
Says no foam, egg cartons, etc.
Right.
No RX bottles, pharmacy bottles, no straws
Right.
or utensils, no bags, no coffee pods, no drink cups.
Yeah, there's another.
Those are some of those stuff I recycle.
Danny Wegman will take your
Can you get more of
plastic
these?
bags. I don't know what he does with them, but if he ain't getting something out of them, why would he even bother?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has a separate receptacle for
Yeah.
bags.
These are all available on the county's
They're supposed to be
website,
clean,
by
but
the
other
way.
than that.
Oh, yeah.
MonroeCounty.gov,
All right. Yeah, all right. I'll
recycling,
I
solid waste.
was under the impression that it was about the code numbers.
No, in fact, there's been a lot of stories sometimes in the past, those code numbers were things that the plastic manufacturers started to convince people that, oh, what we're doing is
Oh.
great, you can recycle this stuff, but a lot of it you just can't, and it's just, it was almost more of
Well, I don't get the reasoning
Thing by-
behind this, though. I would think it's more the type of plastic, or
Well, it is, but these are the types of plastic that tend to be these things. So if it's
because there's
that,
some, plastic is the one thing that's really, you know, it takes forever to degrade. It, you know.
exactly.
Yeah, if you could get all of it recycled, gas would be cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that they always bring up though too, I mean, if you've got plastic bags, even stuff that's similar, I always have a hard time telling exactly what it is, but if it's like film type material, like the bags that they always used to give out at Wegmans, or sometimes things that different materials come in, or if you go to the dry cleaners and they put a bag on, all the Wegmans have something that says
Yeah.
clean plastic bags.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just bags.
That's what we, yeah, that's where we bring that,
too.
yep.
Yeah, and the county encourages you to do that because Wegmans has a a contact, I guess.
Yeah,
that-
ask
that
Danny
takes that
what's
material.
going on there.
Yeah.
I think you should talk to Colleen. She's the one that seems to be the,
We need to invent something that uses this stuff up as commingled product.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are, individual companies that probably use just about anything, but making contact with them is difficult.
We could be rich.
Yeah.
Okay, any more liaison report other than what you've talked about already, Scott?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Okay. And I guess as far as the planning and zoning board, we don't need anybody to go to this next one because there's nothing that concerns us.
Cool.
Does anyone know the latest on the apartments or housing behind the Quicklies? Was that approved by the planning board? I think that was the meeting that we went to.
Good question. I don't know. I would assume yes. It seemed like they had all their ducks in a row.
yeah,
I'm
or it
just
would have been,
curious.
or it would have been postponed and put on their
Sure,
agenda.
it would have been on the next meeting and the next meeting.
I
and
would
the next
think.
meeting, unless they needed more time, but,
Okay, yeah, I was just curious.
yeah. See, that's where we lose.
Could always
that's
email
where we lose
Michelle.
with Michelle not
Oh,
here. Because
right.
She's
She
the
knows.
secretary for all the boards.
Uh-uh.
So she would know what goes on in every meeting.
Planning board will be meeting after our first January meeting. We can assign people to go to planning in January.
That's right. I was wondering if we had, I guess we don't have a current list of people assigned, because we've been doing that year by year, I guess, right?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I know what else occurred to me at some point today. It's annual report,
Oh, yeah.
because we're supposed to have one by the end of the year, I think, right? I don't know how we've done those in the past.
Jack's always written them up.
I'll put together what I got. If you, could you put a sort of a list together of what went on to the Facebook thing? And I'll do some kind of a summary. Just email that to me. We didn't have that many letters that we sent.
Right. And we didn't go out and count trees this year, I guess.
Yeah, that's done.
Yeah.
But we could put in that we did pick up the Christmas trees last time.
Right.
Yeah.
So that can go in there. I'll go through what I wrote last year and
Okay.
We can write that we noted those trees over on Seneca and that nothing was done about it. I think that would be good. Why not?
And we can note that we keep driving people away off the board.
Multiple members have left.
And then I move we adjourn.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah.